Oh, oh, Mary, never knew I had so much vertigo. Vertigo, released in 1958, and is directed by one of the greatest film directors that has ever lived, at least according to many, many people, Alfred Hitchcock, who has directed such classic films like The Birds, Rear Window, North by Northwest, and Psycho. And this film is starring James Stewart, Kim Novak, and Barbara Bel Geddes. John Scotty Ferguson is a detective for the police force. However, during one rooftop chase of a criminal, as Scotty is hanging for dear life, his fellow police officer that was with him falls to his death. And after seeing this traumatizing accident, Scotty is diagnosed with a severe case of vertigo, at least whenever he stands up in high places. So now Scotty is retired from the police force, but is visited by a friend asking him to follow his wife, who is not behaving normally. Scotty hesitantly agrees, and as he is following this woman, starts developing feelings and starts falling in love with her. But little does Scotty know he is falling down a long rabbit hole of mistaken identity, switches, and deceit. So I get very nervous whenever I visit a classic film, whenever it pops up on my random generator, or whenever it's a film by a very talked about director who's had courses that are just based on his work, other film scholars and film directors who can write dissertations and novels and books just on their influences by the director. So when Alfred Hitchcock popped up on my generator with Vertigo, I got very scared because I think a lot of people are going to click on this review thinking that I'm going to do like an in-depth analysis on what certain shots mean, what certain lighting color choices mean, or what these characters represent when it comes to the zeitgeist of misogyny and its impact on the female gender. I'm not going to do that. This channel is here just for me to review what I saw and talk about things that I liked from the film, things I didn't like, and say whether or not I recommend this film for the general public to view. So please know that going into this. I reviewed North by Northwest very early on this channel when I started this whole movie review concept, and I wasn't as in-depth as I'm sure many people wanted me to be, and I did appreciate the film. Certain aspects of it I wasn't a big fan of, and because of that, people were like, oh, you just don't understand cinema. You are a dumbass. You should go kill yourself. And blah, 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 blah. Please be nice to me on this one. I am fragile. That being said, though, I think this film is just a fascinating movie, and I want to say there are like endless layers to every character, to every situation, to every scene that appears in this film. Again, very Hitchcockian. When Scotty first appears on screen with the first dialogue that he has, this is like the classic Jimmy Stewart that I know from films like It's a Wonderful Life. He has this kind of comedic sense about him and likability about him. Oh gosh, whenever I stand up on a stool, I get vertigo and I collapse. Oh, god damn it, Mr. Potter. Jimmy Stewart, he's a fascinating one to look back on the whole classic Hollywood idea of what a leading man is, because he doesn't have that like Cary Grant or Clark Gable-ish debonair type look. He has this kind of like everyman-ish quality about him that makes him so relatable. That's why I love seeing Jimmy Stewart in all these classic films. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, It's a Wonderful Life, or say then films starring such as Clark Gable, because Jimmy Stewart just has this likability about him. So with him showing up here in a Hitchcock film, of course, it's not the first time that I've seen it. My favorite Hitchcock film is Rear Window, and I think he is stellar there. It's nice to see him appear here. And it's an older Jimmy Stewart, too, than what I'm used to. Again, what I'm used to is It's a Wonderful Life, so I'm going to stop rambling on that and move on. Like I said here in the beginning of this film, the first half at least, he has this very comedic side about him and likability about him. But this film, it's really a story of two different films kind of combined into one. Because once the death in the middle of this film happens, this character switches. And all of a sudden, the likable protagonist that he was portraying for the first half of the movie switches to this kind of villainistic, misogynistic character that is not likable. And at points, he's not even our protagonist. It almost shifts entirely to Kim Novak's character. And I think that's the biggest criticism on this film for me, is that this is really, it feels like two films. And the shift that we get here, it's a weird shift for me, and It feels like this movie is like 2 hours longer than what it actually is once it happens. The first half, when we're learning who this Scotty character is, and we're seeing him follow this woman, and he starts developing feelings for her, and then we find out that she's in trouble, or that maybe she's not exactly who she says she is, and then we have this surprise death that happens in the middle of it. I'm liking all of it up until that point. There's a naturalistic feeling that the story provides for me, thinking that, oh, when that unexpected death happens, this movie is going to end and we're going to have kind of a sad ending. But no, the movie continues for like another hour. Okay, you're kind of overstaying your welcome. And it turns the likable male character of Scotty into this basically prick of a guy. He loves this woman so much and then loses her, and then all of a sudden he sees this new woman who looks exactly like her, so he wants to be close to her and start dating her and start changing her so that she looks and acts and feels more like the person that he likes before. That is toxic masculinity. And sadly, I think it happens way more in this world and in this country than we want to admit. Probably what Hitchcock was trying to say with the storytelling, of course. But it is sad to see, as an audience member, seeing this character that I like all of a sudden switch halfway through into this jerk of a character, and I don't know, it just left me not caring about the actual ending of this movie when we finally get there. I miss costuming in the 1950s. These dresses, these gowns that the women are wearing, the really, really high-waisted pants that all the male characters wear. It's hilarious to me because no one nowadays wears pants all the way up to their nipples. They just don't do it. But seeing it here, it's hilarious. Actually, this film is a little predecessor to the storytelling device of kind of switching it halfway through that he would later enact in Psycho. We have the movie going along, and it's actually going along for a while, and then all of a sudden something switches and pivots, and all of a sudden we're going down a different path that I really did not see this film going down, and it's a little jarring. We have a lead actress, who's our main protagonist, or at least we think it is, and then once we get to the famous shower scene, all of a sudden everything resets itself, and we go, oh, what's happening now? I feel like Hitchcock plays a lot with our perception of reality in this film. Sometimes Kim Novak's character, when Jimmy Stewart is following her, she's lit in very soft lights, so we get a lot of bleed overs, and it looks very much like a dream, very angelic, very heavenly. And there are certain cuts, there are certain lighting, color choices here that makes you think, is so-and-so actually dead? Or is so-and-so kind of losing their mind? Are they still stuck in an insane asylum? I'm not exactly sure, but I'm intrigued enough to keep going. Just unfortunately, I think, again, for me, I think this film overstays its welcome just a little much. However, with a bunch of directors and film scholars, there's a debate that this film is the greatest film ever made, which is such a subjective thing to say about any movie. What's the greatest anything? It's such a bullshit thing to say, because that answer is going to differ for everyone. It's going to differ for me. It's going to differ for you who's watching this. If you think it's the greatest film ever made, awesome. I'm sure you have a lot of reasons to think that, just as I have a lot of reasons to think that another film is the greatest film ever made. It's such a subjective thing to say that I'm not going to say this is the greatest film ever made, but it is an instant classic that I think everyone that is going into film, or anyone that wants to study film, or start a movie review YouTube channel, I think you should eventually see this movie, and a lot of Hitchcock's filmography. So with that being said, I'm going to give Vertigo 4 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I like it a lot.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part of my video is where I pick which movie I'm going to be watching next, and today we are going to be bypassing the random generator because I did receive another PayPal donation from, again, my biggest supporters on this channel, Mr. and Mrs. Rusted Beetle. You made a donation and recommended that I watch the movie Babe, a story about talking pigs, dogs, and sheep. I haven't seen this movie since I was like a kid in the 90s. I used to watch it a lot, but I have not seen it in a good, like, 12 or 15 years. Rusted Beetles, I think you guys, again, are insane for wanting to support me, but I'm so thankful and grateful and humble that you do. If any of you out there want to help support me in building this channel to something bigger than what it's been the last couple of years, something bigger this year, it's 2021, we're starting the year off. If any of you do want to support, you can make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do. You can attach your movie with your donation, and if I have access to it, I will watch it, review it, and bypass the whole random generator here and publish it as quickly as I possibly can. So guys, have you seen Vertigo? What did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before, and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit that bell so you'll know the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Babe, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.